The defamation trial between Johnny Depp and his ex-wife Amber Heard continues on today, and during the first half, Amber's team questioned the LAPD officers that responded to the 911 call on May 21st, 2016. While breaking down everything that the police did during this call, we also got to witness the body cam footage from the second occasion of police being called to the scene. If you recall, Officer Melissa Sines was the one who responded to the alleged incident of domestic violence at Amber Heard's and Johnny Depp's penthouse. She also, as I just mentioned, testified that there had been no crime that she witnessed. At the time, Amber Heard was still married to Johnny Depp, and according to the officer, she didn't claim to have been attacked, nor did she appear injured. Officer Sines claimed that Heard's face just appeared to be flushed red with emotion. Sines, who is a 12-year veteran of the LAPD, testified in a video deposition. "We met with the victim, we checked the location, the husband wasn't there, and that the victim advised us that she had just had an argument, and that she wasn't going to give us any further information, and because we didn't identify a crime, we issued her a business card, let her know that she could reach out to us later if she changed her mind and wanted to cooperate." She also mentioned something important here and said that at the time the Los Angeles Police Department did not mandate that officers activate their body-worn camera during such incidents. However, today Amber's attorney decided to question the other officers that responded to the call and to the second 911 call. The body camera footage shows Officer William Gatlin and his partner knocking on the door of the LA penthouse. Heard's lawyer Elaine Bredhoff questioned Mr. Gatlin, who appeared in a video deposition recorded in November of last year. After that earlier visit I just mentioned by two other LAPD officers, Mr. Gatlin came to the residence at 10:24 p.m. of the same night. The 8-year veteran of the police force said that he wasn't aware at the time that it was Mr. Depp's apartment that he was visiting. He then testified that he came about as close as 10 to 15 feet of Miss Heard, but added that due to inadequate lighting, he couldn't really make out any injuries that she may or may not have had. Mr. Gatlin also added that Miss Heard and her friends, who were also present in the apartment, appeared reluctant to talk to them. At no point in time did anyone ever say that Mr. Depp, who was not in the penthouse, was the husband in question though. Officer Gatlin also testified that Miss Heard didn't try to show him any injuries or property damage. In that body cam footage, Josh Rue answered the door when police arrived. The footage does not show his face, but he is believed to have lived in the penthouse next door, which is also owned by Mr. Depp. Upon police arriving for a second time, Mr. Drew then goes to collect the business card left by the officers who visited the residence earlier that night and starts to close the door, but the officers instead enter the home, noting that they have received another call separate from the first. At the same time, another person can be heard stating that Johnny was not present, but no surname was provided. The officers then ask a few more questions, but then would soon leave when realizing that no crime had taken place. Ms. Bredhoff then asked Mr. Gatlin, "Are you able to testify whether Amber Heard was a victim of domestic violence on May 21st, 2016, to which he replied, "Based on our investigation, it appeared as if she was not," adding that she was refusing to give any statement and that at the time we did not observe any visible or verifiable injuries to her. A clinical psychologist hired by Johnny Depp has just exposed the dark truth about Amber Heard. The psychologist was hired to review Amber Heard and Johnny Depp's relationship and claimed that the actress suffers from 2 different personality disorders. She also pointed out that the symptoms of the disorders included taking on the personality of loved ones and even dressing like them, which would certainly explain the accusations of Amber copying her ex-husband's courtroom outfits. The pair were married for 1 year before Heard filed for divorce in 2016, and in recent weeks have been battling it out in court. Although the trial is still underway in Virginia, we have learned a lot about both Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. The trial is seeking to determine if Heard's 2018 Washington Post op-ed had defamed Mr. Depp, and just last week many people online accused Amber of purposely picking out clothing options that copied what Depp was wearing to trial in order to play more mind games with him. However, as I just mentioned, a clinical psychologist is giving a possible explanation as to why she is attempting to dress just like her ex-husband, and it's most likely due to her suffering from borderline personality disorder, or BPD for short. Dr. Shannon Curry was also called to the stand and explained that people with BPD will often have identity issues, which typically results in people dressing like the people they want to be around. Dr. Curry explained to the jury, "They take on the personality of the people they want to be around, the way they dress, interest, the way they talk." And then on the first day of the trial, for example, Depp was seen wearing a Gucci tie with a bumblebee on it. And then just 2 days later, Amber was spotted wearing a very similar tie, which also had a bee on it. Social media users also pointed out that Depp donned a gray suit for the first day of the trial, and then Amber could be seen wearing a pants and shirt combo of the same color to the courthouse on April 12th. Not convinced? Well, on April 18th, Depp showed up to court with his long hair pulled back into a ponytail, and then the following day, Amber had her hair done in a similar way. In another example, Depp wore glasses during many days of the trial, and Heard was seen also using a similar pair. Therefore, Dr. Curry told the court that she concluded Heard had traits consistent with borderline personality disorder as well as histrionic personality disorder, which are two conditions that are found in people with patterns of emotional instability and attention-seeking behavior. During her evaluation, Dr. Curry explained that she had reviewed various case materials, including Amber's own medical records, mental health treatment records, court exhibits, witness statements, and audio and video recordings. In addition to that, she also had met with the Aquaman actress for several hours over the course of 2 separate dates in December of 2021 before arriving at this diagnosis. After Amber's relationship with Depp had ended, Curry concluded that Amber had grossly exaggerated her post-traumatic stress disorder, which prompted her to note that Amber's BPD was marked by an underlying terror of abandonment, adding that someone with this condition will often make desperate attempts to stop it from happening, and so these could be very extreme behaviors. As a result of these disorders, someone like Amber could appear to be very charming at the start of a friendship or a relationship, but that they could turn dark very easily. Dr. Curry goes on to explain and said, "You'll see relationships start very intensely, extremely close. This might be their perfect soulmate, and initially everything seems great, but reality sets in. People are not perfect. Most of us accept people as a whole, but with a person with BPD, things are in these extremes. That person goes from being idealized to a dumpster. They are totally devalued, they're the worst. Then there will be a repair because the person with this disorder does feel remorse." Curry also stated that someone with BPD tends to be very interested in looks and will utilize their looks to get the respect that they're looking for. In terms of Amber Heard though, Dr. Curry said that her case of BPD seems to be sophisticated and calculated, adding that from her analysis she seemed like someone who would have hit you where it hurts, and that she could be very, very destructive. As for the signs of HPD, Dr. Curry explained that this would include an overly dramatic presentation and quick shifts between emotions, such as going from animated to sad very quickly. People with HPD tend to have a hypersensitivity to being slighted and could melt down in the middle of, let's say, a restaurant if somebody showed up just 2 minutes late. They also will tend to make a lot of accusations and escalate situations, including reacting aggressively or physically to prevent a partner from trying to leave. Dr. Curry also stated that people such as Amber often live a life marked by drama and shallowness, adding that her underlying drive is to always be the center of attention, and without it, a person with HPD would feel, well, pretty empty. A police officer has testified against Amber Heard during the Johnny Depp defamation trial and insisted that she had no visible injuries when they arrived. Officer Melissa Sines was the one who responded to the alleged incident of domestic violence at Amber Heard's penthouse. She also, as I mentioned, testified that there had been no crime that had taken place. At the time, Amber Heard was still married to Johnny Depp, and according to the officer, she didn't claim to have been attacked, nor did she appear to be injured. The date of this incident was May 21st, 2016, and when the LAPD arrived at Heard's penthouse, they found the Aquaman actress in tears. Officer Sines claimed that Heard's face appeared to be flushed red with emotion. Sines, who is a 12-year veteran of the LAPD, testified in a video deposition, "We met with the victim, we checked the location, the husband wasn't there, and that the victim advised us that she had just had an argument, and that she wasn't going to give us any further information. And because we didn't identify a crime, we issued her a business card to let her know that she could reach out to us later if she changed her mind and wanted to cooperate." Then, as many of you know, later that month, Amber Heard would file a request for a restraining order against Johnny Depp. To achieve the restraining order, she claimed that Depp had thrown a phone at her face, which she would later allude to in her 2018 Washington op-ed piece when she described herself as a survivor of domestic violence. Then the following year, in March of 2019, Depp would go on to file his $50 million defamation lawsuit over that editorial, because even though she didn't name him in that article, she alluded to those previous allegations and therefore defamed Johnny Depp. Although this wouldn't be America if we didn't have a countersuit. Due to Johnny's describing Amber's claims as a hoax, she later countersued for $100 million. The trial proceedings yesterday ended with the eye-opening testimony from Officer Sines, who repeatedly told the court that she would have filed a report on the alleged incident if she believed that a crime had actually been committed. Although because she didn't really see anything that raised any red flags, she did not proceed with filing the report. She also mentioned something important here and said that at the time the Los Angeles Police Department did not mandate that officers activate their body-worn camera during such incidents. Now, of course, Amber Heard's legal team had their work cut out for them when questioning this veteran LAPD officer. Heard's attorney focused their line of questioning on the thoroughness of Melissa's police work, which was unfortunately criticized in a ruling by a UK court. A judge in that case who found that the Sun newspaper did not defame Depp wrote, "It is notable that the officers took no contemporaneous notes. While it is not for me to criticize the methods of another police force, the absence of contemporaneous notes means that their evidence does not carry the same weight as it would otherwise." And the UK ruling also indicated that the LAPD significantly overestimated the length of time that they were in the apartments. The ruling stated, "Officer Sines said it was 30 to 60 minutes. I have noted above the times that they were captured on the CCTV in the lift going up and then going down from the apartment. While there is no evidence as to the accuracy of the timer on CCTV, that would not affect the interval between those two, which was 15 minutes. However, the officer testified that she had received domestic violence training from the police academy and had responded to more than 100 domestic violence calls at the time of the alleged incident. Depp has insisted throughout this trial that he was actually the victim and stated that Heard had fabricated her allegations once it became clear that he wanted to divorce her. Another thing worth mentioning here is the video that shows Dakota Johnson noticing Johnny Depp's injured finger. Depp claimed that his ex-wife severed his finger with a vodka bottle during an argument just a few months after their wedding in February of 2015. While at a press conference, Dakota and Depp were promoting their film Black Mass, and in the short clip, Johnson can be seen looking down at Depp's finger before making a comment to him about it. His explanation for the injury had Johnson laughing and then sitting back into her chair, but that soon turned into her appearing concerned while continuing to look at Depp. Some viewers are now interpreting Dakota's body language in the video as her not completely believing Depp's explanation. If you recall, back in 2020, private text messages with Johnny Depp and Paul Bettany about Amber Heard were made public as evidence in the actor's libel case against the Sun newspaper. Paul said that the text messages being revealed were embarrassing and that he didn't know Johnny when he was married to Amber, he only knew him before. In a 2016 Twitter post, Bettany had defended Depp and said, "Known Johnny Depp for years and through several relationships. He's the sweetest, kindest, gentlest man that I've ever known. Just saying." And when it came to his testimony on Monday, Depp was asked to explain his perceivably violent text messages about his ex-wife. Depp shut down the claims that these messages were serious and added that they were not evidence of any physical or emotional abuse. Instead, he argued that they were simply a reference to the beloved British comedy film Monty Python and the Holy Grail. According to the timeline of events, these text messages were sent after Depp and Amber started a romance on the set of The Rum Diary, but before they actually got married. As per lawandcrime.com, on June 11, 2013, Depp and fellow actor Paul Bettany engaged in a raw thought experiment involving medieval means of determining whether Heard was a witch. In the text exchange, they say, "Depp, let's burn Amber. Bettany, I don't think we should burn her. She's delightful company and easy on the eye. Also, I'm not sure she's a witch. We could do a drowning test first. Thoughts? P.S. I have a pool. Depp, let's drown her before we burn her. I will F her burnt corpse afterwards to make sure she's dead. Bettany, my thoughts entirely. Let's be certain before we pronounce her a witch." And during the cross-examination last week, Amber's lawyer J. Benjamin Rottenborn confronted Depp about the burn portion of this exchange and asked why he would speak in such a horrendous way about his then-girlfriend, adding, "You wrote that about the woman who would later become your wife." But Depp testified in his response that he and Bettany had a dry sense of humor and often bonded over difficult or unpleasant situations by using humor. In his redirect, Depp said, "In context, it's important to know that none of it was ever intended to be real, and the language that's used, which I am ashamed that has to be spread on the world like peanut butter. For example, the text that is about burning Miss Heard, it's directly from Monty Python in the sketch about burning witches and then drowning the witches. This is a film that we'd all watch when we were 10. It's just irreverent and abstract humor. That's what we were referring to in those texts." Depp also testified that he, in a sense, entered into a relationship with his mother when he decided to get together with Heard, adding that he knows that sounds perverse and obtuse. He also mentioned how Amber considered Paul Bettany as a threat who would take Depp's attention away from her. He even recounted one incident where she and Bettany got into a heated debate at lunch. Depp claims that she became rude and started to actually speak over Bettany whenever he tried to make a point. Apparently, Bettany's 18-year-old son also tried to join in on the conversation with his personal knowledge from studying the subject at school, but Heard demeaned the young man until he bursted into tears and walked away. He also explained the text messages further and said that they were the result of a man that was steeped in the arts and influenced by journalist and friend Hunter S. Thompson, poet Allen Ginsberg, songwriter Van Morrison, and director Stanley Kubrick. An audio recording that was presented during yesterday's testimony exposed a lot about the emotional state of Johnny Depp during his fights with Amber Heard. But before I continue, I must warn you that the details you are about to hear are graphic in nature and are not suitable for all audiences. With that out of the way though, let's continue. The actor's lawyer asked him about the recording as he took to the stand for the final time in his defamation case. 2 months after Amber filed for divorce in 2016, there was a pretty graphic incident that took place. In one part, Amber can even be heard begging Depp to put the knife down. Depp seemed to be at his absolute breaking point in this clip, which is evident when he says to Amber, "Take my blood," because it was the only thing she didn't have. When asked by his lawyer about the incident in question that took place in San Francisco, Depp replied, "I was quite confused. I'd been summoned to her at that point since all the news was about the fact I'd allegedly done all these horrible things. I met with her in the hope that she would retract her lies, that the world was now fed, had been fed. In no way was she ready to do that. I couldn't couldn't understand why I was there. He went on to say, "Everything had been taken from me. My children couldn't escape the fact that all of this had gone down." However, when asked about why he would threaten to hurt himself, Depp said, "I thought Miss Heard had brought me to San Francisco. It was clear under false pretenses. I don't know what she was after. I had a knife in my pocket. I took the knife out and said, 'Here, cut me. That's what you want to do. You've taken everything. You want my blood. Take it.'" In response, Amber kept saying no, 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 and continued to ask Depp to put the knife down. He then said that because he was at his wit's end, he felt broken enough to harm himself, especially if she wasn't going to do it. Closing out his response to the tape, he said, "The only answer was here, cut me. That's all I have left to give you. There was no threat to Miss Heard. It was about spilling my blood. It was the only thing she didn't have. I was broken and really at the end." And the court also got to hear a very tearful phone conversation between Johnny and Amber after their divorce, where she challenged him about his claims that she had beat him up. In the clip, Amber says, "Tell the world I, Johnny Depp, a man, am a victim of domestic violence, and see how many people believe or side with you." And the Daily Mail also reported on another dramatic phone call between Heard and Depp that Johnny said took place sometime between May and July of 2016. In the audio, Amber not only challenged Depp to take her to court to see who would believe him, but she also said, "I don't know how to get my reputation back." And in response, Depp said, "We write a letter together saying we're going to take this out of the public eye, saying that the media has created such a hateful storm that it's sickening, that we love each other, and that we're going to make sure each other is okay." This next exchange between the two, though, really opens the can of worms on where this all really started. As to not miss anything, I'll just read the transcript of the call according to the Daily Mail's reporting. "Heard, you have no idea. Every ounce of credibility has been taken from me and done so in a dishonest way. Depp, the abuse thing, we've got to deal with that. Why did you put it out there?" Heard, "I did not. You forced me to. Your team forced me to by going on the offense. I promise. Look up the timeline. Forget it. You don't believe what I say. I did not choose this." Depp, "I did not put this anywhere. Let me talk to the effing team." Heard, "I did not call the cops. I did not give them any statement. I was trying to protect you. The last time it got crazy between us, I really thought I was going to lose my life." Depp, "I lost an effing finger. I had a can of mineral spirits thrown at my effing nose." Heard, "Tell people it was a fair fight and see what the jury and judge think. Tell the world I, Johnny Depp, a man, am a victim of domestic violence, and see how many people believe or side with you." Despite there being a lot of tension in the defamation trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, the judge recently had to threaten to remove some of Depp's fans. Judge Penny warned the courtroom attendees to maintain order or risk being thrown out after laughter erupted when Depp struggled to recall his own movies. As Depp's legal team was giving their follow-up questions after his cross-examination, the actor was asked to list his other movie franchises beyond the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. He quickly rattled off Alice in Wonderland, but was then unable to recall other projects that he had done. He then joked that he tends to avoid watching his own films. Depp said to the court, "I'm so pathetic when it comes to knowing what movies I've done. I'm sorry, I don't watch them. I feel better not watching them." What was the question again? Several people in the Fairfax, Virginia courtroom then laughed loudly, which resulted in the judge saying, "Order in the court or I will have you removed. Understood? Thank you." This isn't the first time, though, that the judge has had to take action against fans who are only really at this trial to just see their favorite celebrity. Ahead of the trial, the judge had ordered both Depp and Amber to not post for pictures or sign autographs in the courthouse or on the courthouse grounds. Otherwise, they would be found in contempt of court and therefore punished accordingly. She also added, "There will be no overnight camping on courthouse grounds. All spectators are expected to dress in a manner consistent with the decorum of a judicial proceeding. Audible comments of any kind during the court proceedings or provocative or uncivil behavior within the courtroom or courthouse will not be tolerated. There shall be no gestures, facial expressions, or the like suggesting approval or disapproval during the proceedings. Anyone violating this order will be expelled immediately from the courtroom and will not be able to return during the pendency of the trial." In addition to that, people viewing the trial were also prohibited from chewing gum or bringing food and beverages inside of the courtroom. The Justice for Johnny movement, though, is still holding strong, and as a result, the trial has attracted a number of Depp fans to stand outside the courtroom with messages of support. Amber Heard also wrote on her Instagram feed prior to the trial that she would be avoiding social media until the trial had finished. In her post, she writes, "I'm going to go offline for the next several weeks. As you may know, I'll be in Virginia where I face my ex-husband Johnny Depp in court. Johnny is suing me for an op-ed I wrote in the Washington Post in which I recounted my experience of violence and domestic abuse. I never named him, rather I wrote about the price women pay for speaking out against men in power. I continue to pay that price, but hopefully when this case concludes, I can move on and so can Johnny. I have always maintained a love for Johnny, and it brings me great pain to have to live out the details of our past life together in front of the world. At this time, I recognize the ongoing support I've been fortunate enough to receive throughout these years, and in these coming weeks, I will be leaning on it more than ever.